mental health and mental health challenges in the workplace. This morning, I was driving from the Magaliesburg region on my way to work. And I tell you what, if you're constantly surrounded by buildings, skyscrapers, traffic, you are constantly feeling the anxiety, the stress. Everything is a rush. Everything is rush, rush, rush. It needs to happen now. But there's a slower pace of life when you go to places like the Magaliesburg, where it's just mountain upon mountain, just greenery. And what that does for your mental health is it just resets and allows you to just breathe again. Remember how to breathe again. What else can we do in the workplace to support a culture that helps us reduce the stigma and encourage employees to speak openly about mental health? We are joined again by Mertha Nyamande on the line. Happy to have you back. He's a psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant and director of Insight Wellbeing. Mertha, good to have you back. Let's talk about the signs, the symptoms, what we need to look out for as colleagues in the workplace. If we are seeing our fellow colleagues struggling with mental health issues, be it anxiety or severe depression, what are we looking out for?
Right. So when it comes to mental health in the workplace, there's quite a lot of things that you'll notice in your colleagues. You'll notice they're different. They talk differently. They present differently. Even the way they dress becomes different. But the critical issue, especially in the workplace, your compromised workspace, or rather compromised mental health, is really bad for business. It's bad for communities. It produces compromised results and obviously affects the value chain. We tend to see what we call presenteeism and absenteeism in the workplace, especially when people are affected by their mental well-being. So this is where you'd come to work, but you're not producing the results that you expected to produce. And then you start falling in sick and all sorts of things start to happen. So these are the telltale signs that there's something going on. And you may also find the use of substances becomes a problem. Often we look at alcohol use as something culturally acceptable, but it actually gets to a point where it's a bit too much, where our colleagues now need to have a drink of something or a pill of some sort in their pocket so that they can function. So these are some of the things that we really need to look out in our colleagues. And if we notice that this is becoming a bit too much for them, we then need to look at how can we refer them into getting help. Or if we've got the capacity to talk to them and get to understand what might be bothering them. These are some of the things that we might actually then need to look at how much support we can give to our colleagues in the workplace.
For a concerned, apologies, Mertha, but for a concerned colleague, and they're seeing their fellow colleague, and they are absent a lot more these days, they are low on energy. Do we address them directly, or do we take it to our line management, HR, because they should have sort of wellness programs in place? How do we approach it? What's the first step?
Right. So the first step is the humanity connection that we have, the friendship. He's your friend, right? Or he's your colleague, someone you've worked with for some time. So what you want to do in a situation like that is you want to approach them on a friendly term and say, look, I'm worried about you. You look differently. You're presenting differently. You look tired, or whatever it is that you observe. Is there anything I can help you with? So you are looking at that from a very low level of engagement. And then if you notice that they're not opening up enough, and they're not willing to engage with you so that you can help them, then that's where you can then go to your line manager and mention that, look, I'm a bit worried about Mertha. I'm not sure, I can't put my finger on it, but he's not himself, or he's not performing as well as we expect him to. Then they can then start to look into that to say, okay, perhaps actually you may find even the management, they may have seen one or two things, but they may not be able to go directly without someone reporting inadequacies in the work environment. So those steps, you're not telling on your colleague, but you're actually raising a concern that could actually save their life. Because if you ignore, these are some of the things that we see in the environment where people end up committing suicide, and then everybody around them said, oh, I noticed there was something and I could have done something. And we're left with that guilt and shame that I could have prevented these kind of things. So especially in the workplaces, we need to think about, do we have clear policies and procedures that help our colleagues understand their roles and responsibilities, where to go if things are difficult? And the idea of routines as well, work-life balance. We need to, if you're an employer, a responsible employer actually looks at how much is Tebogo working. Is he working too much? We need to give him a break. Because even if it benefits your organization at the expense of your employee, in the long run, you're going to lose as an organization. So these are some of the things that we look at, encouraging employers to look at and see how best they can support their employees in the work environment.
Let's park it right there, Mertha. We're going to take a quick breather, because when we get back, I want us to further unpack the role of the employers in these situations. I would imagine they have a big role to play in creating a supportive environment where we can openly speak about mental health challenges. Don't go anywhere.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Matseko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective. Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective. As Africa renews, so does its voices. 60 years of Channel Africa.
8 minutes to go before 2 p.m. Central African Time. Still in conversation with Mertha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant and director of Insight Wellbeing. And we're talking about creating supportive workplace cultures that make it easier for us to have conversations about mental health challenges. Mertha, let's talk then about the role of the employers in creating such an environment. I would imagine, yes, and you touched on policies being in place and wellness programs that also need to be in place.
Absolutely. Well, from a psychological point of view, we believe every organization should have a counselor, a psychologist within the workforce, such that that person will be able to, as we mentioned, be able to identify some of these things early before they get much worse. So if you notice that something is wrong, if there's an individual whose job is to do that, it makes things much easier to deal with when there are still smaller problems, because it becomes more costly if you let it fester, and then we only start to help you with your problem when you start collapsing at work or when something even more serious starts to happen. So employee support programs are critical to enhance the performance of your teams, because without that, this is about the maintenance of your workforce. Often we look at maintenance of your workforce just by providing them training to use the equipment that they're supposed to be using, the new technology and all. But what we are neglecting as employers is investing in the people that work for us. This is where we need to put more work and have those supportive sessions in the workplace, so that whenever you feel stressed, you can just walk into the counselor's or therapist's room and confidentially just talk about what's bothering you. It could be even within the environment, within the work environment, or it could even be something that you left at home that is in the way of your work. So employers need to look at putting those things in place. So whether it's a group therapy session or it's an individual support that needs to be put in place, all those things need to be within the work environment.
Is it easier then, Mertha, for them to get to this supportive structure and a supportive culture if the employers adopt the family approach? You know, the family approach where the employers say that we are one family in this company. You know, we treat each other like family. Oftentimes we've seen that those are the most toxic of them all. But is it the right approach though? Should they say, no, we are family because it makes it easier for people to approach management or their peers when they are going through challenges?
We know that charity begins at home, and a lot of our problems start within the home environment. So if you start to create a family type environment, you tend to find there's a lot of difficult dynamics to address within that family space. Because again, when you look at a family, there is a father in the family, there is a mother in the family, and then there are children in the family. So if you create environment like that in the workplace, you're actually creating problems, because often children who are the guys at the bottom can't question or challenge some of the interventions that the guys at the top are putting, and which are not helpful for the workforce at the bottom. So a family environment can be even more difficult for people to bring up issues, because again, we have a lot of emotional difficulties amongst families. So what we recommend is, let's create an environment where we know you're the boss, but when we are talking with each other, we look at what we call a transaction analysis, where as adults, we are at a level where we can question each other's opinions or structures or strategies that we put in place. Let's sit down and have a joint ownership as adults and individuals within the work environment. Because as a boss, I may think this is a great idea that I want my company and my employees to adopt. But if I don't put it to them so that they buy into the idea, it could actually fall flat on its face, because the guys who are actually supposed to take ownership of that don't know anything about it, and they don't feel a part of it. So these are some of the things that break down a lot of organizations.
Mertha, how can we get in touch with you? There are companies, organizations listening in on this conversation, and they are saying we need a Mertha in our company. We need your expertise so that we can create those healthy environments. How can we get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I am, or rather my organization is on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, at Insight Wellbeing. And then we also have insightwellbeing.co.zw as our website. If you want to get in touch with us via phone, you can contact us on +263 775 483 749. So all those are ways that you can get in touch with us, and then we can come in and help your organization deal with whatever difficulties you're struggling with.
As always, such an honor and a pleasure having a conversation with you, Mertha. Thank you so much for the insight. We really appreciate your time on The Upside.
Most welcome. Thank you very much.
The voice of Mertha Nyamande, psychological trauma specialist and forensic psychology consultant and the director of Insight Wellbeing, helping us create those supportive workplace cultures that can help reduce the stigma and encourage employees to speak openly about mental health. If you enjoyed that conversation, if you'd like to revisit it, www.channelafrica.co.za. If you found value in it, comment below at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. It's gone 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the second hour, the golden hour of The Upside. Before we get into our festivities, let's get the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories: Asaba, the death toll rises from deadly landslide in Ethiopia, and Iran continues its missile attacks against neighboring states. Good afternoon, I'm Cholani Tulo Wepe. At least 52 people are now confirmed